Vibrations of the earth is a very popular subject to discuss nowadays. Vibrations of the earth are growing, and this transformation influences people. A great number of people see different phenomena and talk about their experience. Do you think they really see something, or might they have been subjected to mass hysteria? The growth of such vibrations is an inevitable process which can, to some extent, lead to mass hysteria. Mass hysteria occurs because people aren't prepared to receive such amplitude-frequency characteristics. To be more exact, not all of them. Vibrations of the earth are really moving upwards. In the 90s, this characteristic was 7-8 Hertz. Now there are spikes to 100 Hertz. Can you imagine how people's consciousness could have changed to provoke such a variation? Vibrations of the earth are growing because it's a God-given law. This process is connected with the fire energy, the energy of transformation. People should change their consciousness. They shouldn't get stuck in something pleasant and understandable for them. People's consciousness should develop into another form, helping them to transit to another dimension. By dimension, I don't mean a place or some space. I mean one's internality. People should wake up. Their awakening, development of knowledge, expansion of cosmic consciousness, all these processes are connected with frequency characteristics, with the earth and the universe vibrations. The earth lives according to its own laws. It has its own needs and tasks. The earth is a living being, and we are torturing it. The earth wants to awake people, its own children. It doesn't put them out of existence, but awakening itself intensively, it makes people develop themselves. The earth is not a material object. It's energy in a particular form. It has its own laws, so everything that is connected with these laws should be transformed. If people don't change themselves, they will have to do it. If they resist, they'll have to part from this life to other levels and wait there until they get some experience there and transform their understanding. Then they'll return to the earth again. Gaining experience is possible only on this earth. And by gaining experience, I mean gaining more understanding. Vibrations of the earth represent high-frequency radiation, which indicates the process of development. High-frequency vibrations are necessary to change people's consciousness, so that people could cooperate with the Creator, developing themselves and awakening their own high qualities. What physical form is this process manifested in? Do people feel anything? Do they have any visions, or maybe take particular interest in spiritual practices? Can such physical changes as diseases be a special form of this process? The subtle world, or subtly manifested material world, which people call the other world, the beyond, is becoming more and more obvious to all of us. The bright line between this physical world and the subtle world is fading. Different qualities, abilities, and phenomena appear in people. These qualities often interfere with ordinary life, so that people's health condition starts changing. Now much emphasis is on the DNA awakening. It is a real process which indicates the awakening of information. Special types of energy are becoming more intense. They'll help to transform people's consciousness, even on the level of cells. This leads to particular body experiences. Some people are taken ill. Others see or hear something unusual, being frightened with it. All these things show that all of us need transformation. We need to develop ourselves. Every person should make their consciousness more spiritual and become acquainted with the cosmic laws. Such a way of development is a law. They say the Earth is passing into five-dimensional measurement. What do you think about it? Is that really so? Are there any other theories? In fact, unconsciously, people live in all the dimensions at the same time. It is your level of development that makes you realize how many dimensions your consciousness embraces. There are people whose consciousness embraces only 3 dimensions. There are some who live with 2-dimensional consciousness. Actually, these people live in 3 dimensions, but their consciousness is so vague and shadowy that it is connected only with the 2nd dimension. It's a deviation from a norm. As people exist in all the dimensions simultaneously, it wouldn't be quite right to say that we are passing from one dimension to another. At the same time, this statement contains a grain of truth. We're really evolving. This evolutionary growth is nothing but ascension. Step by step, we're moving upwards, passing one level after another, and consolidating our experience. However, we exist in all the dimensions simultaneously. If there is a 5th dimension, there also must be the 25th dimension. Unfortunately, the level of our consciousness doesn't allow us to perceive, for example, the 11th or the 16th dimension. Nevertheless, at these levels, there are some beings who convey some kind of information. But today people can hardly read even the signals from space. As for such fine signals, there aren't any proper decoders now which can turn these fine signals into information and knowledge. However, people who follow the yoga path and practice self-development can awaken their brain and develop it up to a very high level. It gives them special abilities and allows them to perceive this high knowledge. It is connected with transition from one dimension to another. One's consciousness can be present in one dimension or in a few dimensions at the same time. A person might not seek to be in this or that dimension, but unconsciously he can exist in all the dimensions at the same point of time. Let us assume that there are 12 levels of consciousness, or 12 dimensions. Let's take this number as a basis. Our usual physical existence presumes 3 dimensions plus time, the 4th one. The 5th dimension is beyond time. A person who develops himself can embrace a few dimensions at once. There are people who have achieved an extremely high level of development and can embrace 8 or 9 dimensions, coincidentally. They can't even be called people, as such a high level is the level of angels. They are scientists who are far beyond the level of ordinary scientists, and their minds reflect cosmic consciousness. So, we integrate all the dimensions within. We have 7 chakras, 7 levels of consciousness, which embody divinity. However, one's consciousness can get stuck at the 1st or the 2nd chakra, so this person can't understand what the 3rd and the 4th levels of consciousness, or dimensions, are like. Everything depends on the level of the person's development. Can we say that we've come to some transition point? Or the transformation will continue exponentially and will go on rather intensively? The universe develops continually, without stopping. It'll stop only if it turns into a point and disappears. There are 2 different processes, extension and contraction. Both of them are inevitable. Now a fast-track process of extension is taking place, so whether we want it or not, we'll have to develop ourselves. That's why I appeal to people to engage themselves in spiritual practice, so that they can transform their consciousness to be able to receive such high vibrations. Then they'll be able to understand what is happening. People should learn to understand who they really are, and creating conditions to such understanding is something that is really necessary. If we do it, we'll be able to avoid problems. Do you mean that people's bodies aren't ready for receiving these high vibrations, so we need spiritual practice to prepare our bodies for that? What about people's consciousness? Is it also unprepared? A body is a result of consciousness. Our consciousness can be divided into mental body, astral body, etheric body, and physical body. All of these bodies need developing. Some people develop their mental bodies. They know a lot, but can't do anything with it. This is imbalance which leads to mental problems. Someone comes into being as a manifested strength in the astral consciousness or has strong emotions. But this person can control neither his thoughts nor etheric body or physical one. It means that we need harmonious development. And yoga is a path of harmony. Besides, on all the levels we should have awareness. It is a matter of course. How does Kriya contribute to this development, especially to the transformation of consciousness? Kriya is an action performed in the state of total awareness. Total awareness implies that every action performed by a person is correct physically, etherically, astrally and mentally at the same time. When a person takes such action under his or her control, all the levels develop simultaneously. Kriya was originally given by God. It was analyzed and tested throughout millenniums, so it works in a universal way. Nothing can be compared with this theory. Nothing works better than it does. People usually follow spiritual practices to find their true identity or to get answers to their questions. Do you think that following Kriya, people will be able to reach their aims quicker than if they were practicing any other theories? I think Kriya is a short and open way to the omnipresent or cosmic consciousness. Why is that so? Kriya comes over a big number of levels and planes. So, a person practicing it takes under his control everything that people following other theories aspire to for years, decades, or even incarnations. This is because they don't have a proper teacher, don't have knowledge or the right technique. Such a situation makes people evolve very slowly. If you come to a proper teacher, to a true master, or to a good preceptor, who knows where to guide people and how to teach them, you'll be able to develop stepwise, but very quickly. Preceptor is not an instructor. He is a spiritual leader who has his own experience. Master is someone who has achieved God realization. Such masters can give you very good knowledge. So, if you come to a master, he can give you understanding which will help you to move very quickly, putting the holy science of Kriya to use. If you move evolutionally, you'll have to ascend slowly, in spiral order, whirl by whirl. Kriya can help you to turn the evolutionary spiral into a point and ascend directly. Practicing Kriya intensively, we can shorten our way of development and reach God realization in the space of a few years. Otherwise, our way of ascension could last millions of years. Why is the process of transformation getting so intense now? Is this fact connected with a golden age or yugas described in Vedas? What do you think about it? The Creator has very good designs on us. He has a task, self-cognition. It can be even called self-enjoyment, though such a term doesn't seem to be a spiritual one. However, it is a real task. He cognizes himself within himself. So, all the universes and all the worlds, including the earth, people's consciousness, whatsoever is developing now, everything is connected with this high aim of the Creator. Now the Creator manifests himself in all these aspects more intensively because he wants to transform those who are his direct instruments. Our bodies need transformation so as to act as good instruments in the Creator's hands. If you were such good instruments, you would understand what it is all about. But now people's minds are trying to jump ahead and to know the final result of this process. They want to know if they need practicing or not. You should know that whatever decision you will make, this process will take place, because the levels of people's consciousness are changing now. Cosmic energies, as well as the law of karma, are implacable. From the viewpoint of an ordinary man, they are even violent and inhuman, because they don't ask a person if he wants something or not. Whatever a person wants, whatever attachments he has, these energies just do their work. So, now people's task is to do everything to coexist with these energies. One should live in harmony with the laws of the universe. Otherwise, there could be lots of trouble. It's very important for people to understand who they are, where they are, and how they will finish their lives. Sathya Sai Baba said, "Where do we come from? Who are we? Where will we go afterwards?" These questions are extremely important, as they are about the aim of human life. People tend to live in the past all the time, as they are attached to the familiar past. Unfortunately, some people are deprived of the familiar past, because their lives are full of events which make them move away from this familiar past. They move beyond something they know well, because they have to learn something new. Sometimes we have to move beyond our way of thinking, which has become out of date or has appeared to be false. Self-development is hard work, because people's minds get tired and are always attached to something. So the world changes, times change, everything around us change. Most people think that they live in the times of Kali Yuga. In fact, now it is the 319th year of Dwapara Yuga, when electrical power is becoming more active, and we're moving towards the development of magnetic power, which is a mental process. The vast majority of people don't want to know anything about it, but those who know are developing themselves. By the way, not long ago we couldn't do without wires. Nowadays we use devices which can work without them, because we have reached the level of wireless communication. This fact shows that Dwapara Yuga is becoming more and more active. At the same time, the frequency shift we are using now is destructive. If a person works hard to awake his nerve endings and cells, he has good conductivity and can survive even radioactive emission, though an ordinary cell can't stand nuclear radiation, because it influences human body very intensively. A yogi who develops his consciousness and moves beyond the normal human perception understands this energy and easily survives strong radiation because he has good conductivity and quite a different consciousness. We're moving to cosmic levels. Our Mother Earth is leading us itself and vibrating very intensively. Despite strong vibrations of the earth, we feel quite well, and it is also a God's grace. What do you think will happen when this process terminates and passes from an active into a more flowing phase? Our bodies will turn into the bodies of light, which is happening now. People who don't agree with it and don't want to develop themselves will have to change their bodies. To some extent, the change of the body is, at the same time, the change of the mind. The blinkered and attached mind requires some renovation and correction. That's why some people are departing now. People are losing their bodies because of diseases, wars, and other emergencies. It is connected with the powerful process of transformation, the period of change. There is a Chinese damnation. Down you be born in the times of change. People are afraid of change, but creative people are in tune with change. They seek change and create it for themselves, because they know that if they don't make a step in a chosen direction, they won't achieve anything. So we needn't fear change. If we confide in the cosmic law, in the Supreme, in the Creator Himself, we should be comfortable with everything that is happening now. We must understand that if we confide in the Supreme and develop ourselves, it will allow us to experience very high spiritual states. Everyone will be able to experience how his or her body will turn into the body of light. Now only some yogis manifest it, but for most people it is a dream. In fact, the conductivity of your body will be so high that you actually will feel it as a body of light. It won't be vulnerable to early death, diseases, colds, and hunger. If it is necessary, the body won't die at all. There is a lot of information on the subject. You can read about it. Do you mean that the science of Kriya, based on ancient knowledge, is becoming more and more important in people's lives? Yes, that's right. It's becoming popular because people want achievements. They seek to get some exceptional abilities. By no means is this aim egoistic, but this is the case, and people can set such goals. However, over the course of practicing Kriya, one begins to understand that such goals are nothing else but trumpery. Gradually, a person shifts away from his original egoistic goals. But, being in the ordinary state of consciousness, people aren't able to understand it. Higher qualities given by God glimpse in a person practicing Kriya. These qualities make one understand that he is a very high aspect of the Creator's creation, so he should express himself spiritually. As we are created by the Creator, we have all the abilities which allow us to create. So we should do it. We should live creatively and be creators of the things of the Creator's creation. Reflect upon it.